Every year on Christmas Day, something incredible happens. Millions of gamers around the world open their laptops, fire up the game, and start playing. And one specific game captures more of the gaming population than any other title. It's Minecraft. As one of those gamers, I've spent countless hours exploring randomly generated worlds, gathering resources, fighting monsters, and building magnificent structures. It's the perfect way to waste time. But a couple of years ago, I had an experience in Minecraft that I can't explain. It was December, and I'd just created a brand new single-player world. At first, everything seemed perfectly normal. I started chopping down trees and crafting a workbench. Because my laptop is pretty slow, I had to keep the render distance on tiny, which meant a thick fog hung over everything. That's when I caught a flicker of movement in the mist. I figured it was a cow, and followed, hoping to snag some leather for armor. But it wasn't a cow. Standing there was another player model with the default Steve skin except his eyes were blank and glowing white. No username floated above his head. I double-checked the menu to be sure I wasn't accidentally in multiplayer. It was just me. He just stared at me for a second and then bolted into the fog. I chased after him, but he disappeared without a trace. I tried to shake it off and kept playing, but the world felt off. I stumbled across things the random map generator shouldn't create, perfectly square to 2 tunnels in solid rock, small pyramids of sand rising out of the ocean, and clusters of trees with every leaf stripped away. Every so often, I'd catch a shadow in the distance, like that figure was still watching me. Each time I bumped my render distance up too far, nothing was there. Eventually, I saved the world and jumped onto the official Minecraft forums to see if anyone else had run into something like this. No luck. I posted my own thread describing the figure and asking if anyone had experienced the same thing. Within 5 minutes, the post was gone. I tried again, deleted even faster. Then I got a private message from the username Herobrine. It said just one word: stop. When I clicked the profile, it had already been wiped 400 for error. Later that night, I got an email from another player who'd seen my deleted thread. He said the moderators could read private messages, so email was safer. He claimed he'd seen the same figure, and had compiled a small list of players with similar encounters. Their worlds all had strange man-made landmarks too. Every single one described the figure as having no pupils. A few weeks went by before I heard from him again. Some of the people in his group had started digging into the name Herobrine. They discovered that the name popped up often in old Swedish gaming circles. Eventually, they found a connection. Herobrine was supposedly the brother of Marcus Notch, the creator of Minecraft. I emailed Notch directly, asking if he really had a brother. After a long wait, he finally replied with a single, chilling line. I did, but he is no longer with us. Notch, I didn't receive a reply for several days. When I finally got one, it was a simple message saying, sorry for the delay. My phone was off. I asked him about Herobrine, but he seemed hesitant to talk about it. It's not really a story I share, but if you want to hear it, here goes. Notch told me that he and his brother Henrik grew up in a small Swedish town. When Henrik was 16, he developed schizophrenia. He got into computers early and taught himself how to code. He made games and showed them to me. I was always better at art and music, so I helped him with those aspects of his projects. We wanted to make games together, but it was hard because we each thought our way was the best. It was also hard because Henrik couldn't really hold down a job, so it was up to me to pay for both of our shares of development software and hardware. Henrik eventually moved in with a friend, but he began seeing things that weren't there. He believed that the walls were bleeding and the furniture was moving. One day he looked at me with these wild eyes and said, "Can you hear it? Can you hear the voices?" I did my best to hide it, but I was scared. I told him I couldn't hear anything. He didn't speak much after that. He moved out a few weeks later and started living on his own. Notch claims that he and Henrik barely spoke for the next decade. Then Henrik moved back in with their parents. I knew he needed help, but I didn't know where to turn. Our parents couldn't handle him, so I ended up taking care of him. I tried to get him into therapy, but he never went. He refused to take medication, and would spend most of his days sitting in his room staring at the wall. One day in late August of 2009, I found him in his room hunched over his desk. He looked up at me, and I saw those same wild eyes again. He was wearing a t-shirt that said, "I am Eerie." Beneath that was a crude drawing of a stick figure with jagged lines shooting out of it. The last thing he ever said to me was, "I am becoming the void." Then he threw himself off the top of the stairs. He died instantly. They buried him in a cemetery outside of Stockholm. It's hard for me to talk about it, but I think that's what happened. I believe that he created a world in Minecraft and uploaded it somewhere. If you find the world, you might find him in it. If you do, tell him that I said goodbye. I haven't seen the figure since that first encounter. My world hasn't changed except for what I build myself, but I did manage to hit the screenshot key during that first sighting. This is the only proof I have that he ever existed.